We catch up on the latest Old World special rules in today's episode and chat with Josh about his 6th edition Slow Grow. Enjoy. Welcome back to the Old World Fanatics, your Warhammer fantasy podcast to quench your hobby thirst for all things the Old World. And I'm one of your hosts, Gomo, and I'm joined again by Andrew and Josh. I know it's only been 6 days, guys. So how's everyone going?
Yeah, not bad, Gomo.
Not bad. A lot can happen in 6 days.
Yeah, they just keep dropping the rules.
Yeah, no, it's great.
We'll get onto this, but I thought we weren't going to get one next week because they didn't really mention it in the article, but there is something on next week. So we are getting one, but anyway.
Oh, next week.
Army army composition or something.
Yeah, army composition.
Did they use that word? It was something like that. Yeah. Building your army or something. Yeah. Yeah, cool. Anyway, but yeah, well, obviously we're going to chat about that today. Yeah. That's why we keep pushing these pods back off our Monday one, but I mean, at least we caught up today, and I guess there was a little bit of extra news, so we'll cover that. And then because we're only 6 days ago, I haven't really done anything, so I don't know how much hobby we'll have, but I know, Josh, you've got some stuff to chat about.
I'll have some stuff to talk about. Yeah, and I have my slow grow, which is a lot of fun.
So we'll are we going to do? We're going to do slow grow as its own topic after the main article, is that right? Like we did last time, because you might cover some bat rep stuff in there. Is that what you want to do? Not so much
that's what I'll do. Yeah,
cool. Awesome. Yeah. Well, that sounds good.
I can talk about that for a while. So and I've still got it's only 6 days, but I've still got a fair bit of hobby to talk about, as I always do.
Yeah. I've got a few excuses which I'll cover, but we'll see.
Anyway. I'm the same. Hobby, yeah.
So funny. Anyway, well, let's get that. So news/rumors. Well, firstly, actually, I think it was last week I got a notice that we had our 100-day birthday for our podcast. So I'm not sure if we should have covered that last week, but I thought
should have bought a cake.
Yeah.
Wait, and this is what, did you say it was the 18th episode?
Yeah, it is. But remember, I think we did we do, it's really 17 weeks, I think, because remember we did like 2 in 1 week once when they did that Nova Open. Is that right? Something.
There was a double up.
Okay.
I didn't know if that was counted within the episode. I suppose it would.
Yeah. You can do like a separate one and not count it, but I just did. So it's 100 days. It's not really a birthday. It's not annual, but we'll get there maybe.
Yeah. We've put out a lot of volume of episodes in that 100 days, haven't we?
Lots of talking.
Yeah.
Highly variable quality.
I think someone
certainly a lot of talking.
A lot of patient listeners.
I don't know if it was on one of our comments or something when I posted like ages ago, and someone was like, how can someone be talking about the old world? It's not out yet.
Well,
plenty to talk about.
Hold my beer.
Right.
Anyway, cool.
These articles have been goldmine for
that's right.
hobby podcast.
Yeah, I mean, geez, imagine when the book's out, all the campaign books, how much stuff there'll be to go
totally
through. And then games. Oh god.
But at the same time, I was pleased to actually play a game this weekend.
Yeah, I bet.
Of a slow grow.
Yeah,
talking about just rules for so many weeks. So it was nice to actually get some miniatures out and actually play for once.
That's right. I know. I feel like when did we play, Andrew? It must have been 5 weeks ago. It might have been a while.
God, is it that long ago? Yeah,
maybe
could have been.
I don't know. Yeah.
It feels like because we do this every week, it must feel like you're always warhammering. But it's actually we're just talking about it every week. So the time goes by. Like, I actually haven't played a game for ages, but I feel like I've been doing hobby.
Yeah.
All that time.
That's the good thing about. I mean, it's not really. I don't know if it's tangent, but that's what's so good about the hobby. Like, it's not one thing. So, even when you are detached, and everyone's done it. Like, I was listening to a YouTube video the other day, and someone said something like, "Tell us about your break." Like, it was like everyone has a break from the hobby, and because they were like 30 something, and it was like, so they just assumed they started, went away, came back. It's almost everyone does. It's pretty funny. Although Josh is probably sitting there going, I didn't do that. But you did? Oh, you did?
No, for sure.
You would have gone to uni and stuff to do yours.
Yeah, that's what you all did. No. I had a break of 10 years.
Must be the weirdest business model to run. Hey, there you go. You get the kid in, and then you get the adult back when he wants to be a kid again.
Yeah. Between the ages of 16 and 28 or something like that.
That's funny. Anyway, cool. Well, that's that part. Let's chat about the little bit of news / rumor, more than news. Well, it's not really a rumor, I guess, but there was a leak
Confirmed
of
rumor.
on a French book site, I think it is, of the first Old World novel. Which
I
is
know.
cool, that came out.
So cool.
Yeah, the Lords of the Lance, or the Lord of the Lance. I get the feeling this was obviously a Bretonnian and Tomb King book story. I mean, for those, I'll obviously leave the link in the show notes. You can go. There's a bit of a blurb about it. I don't know Bretonnian history at all. Are they new characters? Do you know, Josh? Like that they mention? Like is this McQuellin and someone else, Duke of Carrad?
All these names are novel to me, so but I don't know if that's because they are made up or I just haven't read them before. But as far as I'm aware, they're new names.
Yeah, it probably makes sense that they're trying to bring some new stuff in, and obviously,
I would think so.
Yeah.
These all seem like relatively not minor character, but like a Duke of Cornelis and just another smaller characters below him. So yeah, I'd be surprised if they had been mentioned before, especially because you were talking about a time period where it was a few hundred years before the original.
Yeah,
most of the fluff was written.
Books. Yeah. So the cool thing with this is, and it's funny, the link is still working as of like 2 minutes ago when I grabbed the blurb. So I don't know if it'll get pulled at some point. Who knows? But it mentions the 20th of January as the release for this French novel. So I guess that's the rumor bit. We actually, Game Stock Show did say it was going to be the first. I mean, how did they quote it? It sounded like the first release of the first major release or something of the new year. So I'm just wondering, what that means.
They did say early in the year, I guess.
And
but 20th of January could, very plausible. And I'm sure this book would not be released before the release of the main game.
Yeah, seems weird.
Super exciting. I'm so going to get this book if I haven't read many Warhammer Fantasy books. I've read probably 10 of the Horus Heresy ones, but I would so be reading this if
oh man, I love the Conrad series, the old 3 books. Like, I don't know, maybe they don't stand the test of time these days, but they were good. And obviously the Gotrek Felix ones are awesome.
Gotrek.
And then that Drachenfels one is pretty good. But then I've got a few, about 3 sort of just these random hit and miss ones that they just stand by themselves, and the quality is sometimes debatable on that. But I think if anything, they get better. And I will say this: Graham McNeil, he's the guy who obviously wrote Fulgrim and a bunch of other Horus Heresy and other stuff. Right. So that's
man,
him.
I knew that name was familiar. Okay, that's why, because I read these Horus Heresy books.
So we were just talking about that last week. I don't know if it was on the pod or not because I just finished Fulgrim. I don't think I did mention that on the pod. It was on there.
No,
I was sort of saying, because for all those people who. Yeah, obviously, I haven't touched 40K or anything really, and I've started to, and so I delved into, and I used to read White Dwarfs, and I loved Orcs in 40K, but I never played it, and I was too busy on fantasy stuff. But I finally, everyone talks about the Horus Heresy, so about 2 years ago I started reading it, but didn't get. I probably got to like book 3, book 4, and then this year I read Fulgrim, and then I messaged you guys and went, what the fuck? I was like, have you guys read this? I was just like, I was like disturbed. Going, okay, now
it's like the Red Wedding or something of Horus Heresy.
I was just like, okay, this is, So, I've had that moment that probably everyone else has, but it's like, it's 20 years ago. So I'm 20 years too late or whatever.
Wait, were you aware of that thing that happened in
that book?
Before
the
you read it?
Massacre. Yeah, a little bit. And to be honest, that bit's not. It doesn't go into heaps of depth in that book, and I don't know. Is that fleshed out in other books?
It is. Yeah. There's a big. When I was reading it, because I read some of them, but there was a big sort of timeline. Like you can find on the internet.
Yes, it's a massive graph there.
Recommended graphs that you go through, and some of them will have certain. It'll be short stories that they expand. I think there's a couple other books that start off in that context as well. I think the Raven Guard ones do as well. But it definitely gets fleshed out more.
Yeah, so I did know about it, but it didn't. I think at that point I knew what was going to happen. Obviously, do you know what I mean? So it wasn't as crazy. It was probably more the whole
the way you're
book was
reacting,
crazy
like
in terms of what happened and, them getting, just some of the weirds. And even just Fulgrim, to be honest, just that last bit where you sort of know that he's made the wrong decision, but that's it, he's gone. That's probably disturbed me more than poor Ravengard and the other dudes getting killed. But anyway, or Ravenwing, whatever. No, Ravengard. Yeah. Anyway, we're on a 40K and / podcast, are we? Sorry about that. Diverging off that. But these novels are getting, I think some of these novels are really good. So, pretty good to see Graham being the one who's, I guess, laying down book one. So, yeah.
Yeah, some quality reading coming out of Games Workshop.
Yeah,
like you said, some of the older books are a little bit hit and miss. But yeah, I think a lot of the authors are definitely good quality.
I mean, it's like first class business now, whereas back then it was like playing around with, can we do books, can we not, can we get away with giving someone $2,000 under the table to see if they can give us
bit
a
of
book,
hobbyist.
When Graham was definitely, he worked in the studio, didn't he? He wasn't even I think he was a game designer, and then he went into that. So I don't know. I don't know the history of it all, but yeah. Cool. Anyway, so maybe 20th of Jan, maybe not, but I'm assuming by then we'll know a lot more. So that's pretty cool.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, let's smash into a little bit of hobby. Andrew, did you get anything done in 6 days? Probably not.
No, I
list
found
scheming actually.
Yeah. So I was scheming a little bit for our battle coming up. So it's kind of just trying to flesh out my CanCon list. And basically I won't give spoilers away, but I'm down from my gigantic army that I thought I had 10 of everything. I don't have one model that I need. So
so is Karen going to paint it, or
so I went trolling through some boxes. I've secured said model, but I've primed said model, but I haven't done any painting. So yeah, between now and CanCon, just expect there'll be a bit of hobby time with me in a single model.
I love it. And so you're going to do it, or are you going to get Kieran to do it? Like, what do you do when you get
I'll
commissioned?
do it. I'll do it. Yeah, I think he's a bit elfed out. He's done probably better part of 500 elves. So yeah, but I think he's pretty busy as well. Like he tends to like when I was getting the whole thing done, I said, "I'll just squeeze it in when you can." So yeah, but I wouldn't mind just trying something as well. I haven't actually painted anything, so like as in like from the elves.
From the elves, I was going to say you did, or you dwarves, didn't you?
Yeah.
No, cool. Okay. Well, it's good to get an army to that though, where you can, just start adding stuff. That's why, obviously, with the Tomb Kings, that's why I want to get one too. So when they start bringing these new ones out, and Josh's probably the same with the Brats, you're just adding one or two of these things. You're not having to like cram for an entire army.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to bring just prime model. I'll see what happens. I'll see if we can find an alternative to bring along for our battle. I might just bring like a proxy, an elf proxy that's painted.
Doesn't matter. It can be prime too. I mean, I probably won't do the chariot list because I don't have even 5 more put together. So I want to try my other army again because it was if we don't play that scenario, I just want to see what it does. You know what I mean? And not react.
That deployment was so unlucky.
Deployment dice.
Yeah. So, anyway, cool. Okay, well, that's good.
Are you going to play another CanCon scenario, or do you think you'll try?
Well, I don't know. Probably. Don't know.
I reckon we might. Maybe flesh one out before, and we can both have a bit of a read and.
Well, we can didn't we go 1 and 2? We could do 3 now, maybe. I can't remember.
Yeah, sure. 3, whatever that is.
Is that the cart one?
I think the cart one. Oh, maybe it's Blood and Gore. Actually, I think the cart one's the 4th.
Yeah, I think you're right because it was going to be too hard to last. Oh well, 3 might be just sort of close to battle line, but with different.
I think it's a Blood and Glory
style one. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Which is champs and stuff. Is that one? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. I think.
Did we not do that one?
Oh no, that was the challenge champ one.
The challenge champ one.
Yeah, it was different. Yeah. Cool. Now we'll have a look at that. Sounds good.
What did you get up to, Gummo?
Yeah, so I'm going to use 2 excuses that I didn't do a lot. One of them was a busy weekend because it was my 18th wedding anniversary, so that was
congratulations.
fun. And so went out for lunch, and I was just saying to Andrew before we recorded, went out for lunch, but it ended up going till, put it this way, we Ubered home and
a long
to
lunch.
get my car later, but crashed out pretty early, to be honest. But it was massively, the biggest reason was it's been really hot, and I don't know if I'm just pulling the excuse card, but I don't know if you guys are the same, but if it's too hot, and we're in Australia here, so the US people probably don't understand this, but yes, my room, I've got air conditioning, like it's still pretty cool in my house in general, but my study can warm up a little bit. And I just feel like A, it's too hot to paint, and B, it just, even though I'm using a wet palette, it's just like, I don't know, it just feels like everything's drying quick and it just shits me off, and then I just give up. I don't know if anyone has that, or it's just me being uncomfortable when it's too hot. But yeah, we've had some cracking hot days, so I've just gone, nah, I can't. I got like almost
lived
5
in
snaggers
Arizona.
done, and that was it.
Lived in Arizona for a year, and I tell you, it gets pretty hot there.
Yeah. Obviously,
extra,
yes, there is some,
extra hot.
Yeah.
But yeah, just in general.
Yeah.
But no, I agree with what you're saying about it does make it hard to paint. Same with when it's really, really cold. I find really cold, it makes it really hard to paint as well.
And it's probably not the heat, the cold. It's probably just getting too extreme, one or the other. And because I sit down and want to just relax, but then I'm like, oh, it's just it's too bloody warm.
Yeah.
So you probably, I don't know. Did you guys get that heat wave? Were you down in Melbourne?
Well, we've had a lot of cloud.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it has been hot today. It got to 36 for the first time in I can't remember the last time. It was weirdly humid, and then the cloud cover went away, and now it's really hot today. I think it's going to be storming again tomorrow, so it's weird weather.
Because to be honest, I'm actually not doing a lot of work. Like a lot of my work's sort of slowed up, or I've already done it. Like I bulk bunch, did a lot of stuff, so I've got more time during the day. And actually thought, yep, I'm going to get all those beast snaggers and the beast boss done before next week, and then it just didn't happen. I sat down, did a little bit, and it was just like, too hot. And then obviously the weekend got happening, and I just didn't get it done. So anyway, I will try and keep going on these Orc boys, or work out if this list is really bad, Andrew. I guess I will have to get cracking on the chariots. So we'll see how it goes after this week. For the Tomb Kings, so I change them up. But at this point, I'm just going to leave the list as it is and see what happens.
So this is your a highly potential list for Cancor?
Yeah, fair. Yeah, I'll probably there's a few magic item changes and fiddling around, but I definitely want to try these 2 different units in.
Oh, okay.
Parallel,
so the chariot list is a backup.
Yeah, the chariot list is a backup.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's basically the same. It's just chariots instead of the tomb guard, I guess.
Yeah.
Really. So.
Yeah, sweet.
I just don't really have an amble if I've got just chariots, but I don't know. So anyway, we will see. That was pretty much it, though, I think. So yeah, it's probably on to Josh. He probably did the most.
Yeah. You know, it was 36 degrees today, and I did a good number of painting hours today. It did not stop me at all.
Stop it. That's
you're an addict, true. Josh. You're an addict, a hobby addict.
It does dry more quickly. That is annoying, but I don't know. You just compensate. You get more water on the wet palette.
Well, yeah, I've got a wet
deal
palette.
With
it shouldn't be an issue.
Paint dries more quickly. It helps. You can you can get your layers on without the wait as long.
I'm using contrast most of the time as well, so it's definitely an excuse.
Oh dear. Yeah.
I shaming everybody.
What have I?
Hobby shaming.
I'm just joking.
You two are pathetic.
Oh man. No, I did get a few things done. So yeah, one of them was I was painting up the cold ones. Because I think I was talking about
we saw a sneak peek of that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's got it on the Insta yet, but you will.
I haven't posted it anywhere really.
Miniature porn. Oh, don't know if that's the right words for it, but it was good. It was good.
it was a start. I don't know. It was like, I've basically what I did was because I was talking about the other week where I wasn't happy with the boldness of the purple I'd used initially, and then I was trying to work out, do I go a different color entirely or not? I ended up working out that it was really just the vibrancy of it more than anything, and getting the right tone of it. And the thing is, the thing like about contrast is it's really just a base layer. Like that's why I'm starting to learn about it. Is you put it down and then you can play with that and make different tones and shades and colors, which is it actually gives you a lot of flexibility.
It almost
in a
helps
way.
you see the highlights as well. Like you don't have to use them, but you can see sort of the miniature. You know what I mean?
Sorry, I'm just getting the picture up again.
Yeah.
Because what I've ended up doing is, so I actually did the base coat for a few of them, and I've actually done slightly different hues of purple. I haven't actually showed you guys this either, but I've actually gone for like some of them a little bit more of a reddy purple, some of them a bit more blue purple, because I feel like you know these lizards should have some natural variation. You know, I don't really want them all to be the exact same color. Just like war horses, I like having them all different bays and that kind of thing. But then what I did was actually, because I've been thinking about this for a while now, trying to work out what color scheme to do, and then it sort of came to me today when I was starting to paint again that I should just do something that I applied to my buildings. So it sounds bizarre when I say it like that, but basically what it was with the stone buildings I have, I would do a technique where I would do a whole base coat of a grey color, and then I would get out a whole lot of vibrant ochres and oranges and deep greys and actually really quite jarring colors. Paint out all the other individual bricks, and then wash it, and then dry brush it all with the same color, and have it all blend. So you just get some slight variations. So that's what I applied to the.
So once Bitten 360 did that on his castle. Do you know that guy who used to do the bat reps years ago?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember Once Bitten?
I vaguely remember that name.
Yeah. So he had the he had the castle, you know, the fortress that I've got, and he did that with his, and he did the whole thing, and I remember him like months later giving updates on every little red brick he did, every little yellow brick he did, because just doing each individual one and then wash and then the dry brush. It came out good, but I don't know how many hours he spent doing that.
So
you can do that with yours too.
Ages. Yeah. I can't remember where I learned it from. To be honest, I don't think I came up with it myself. But yeah, it worked well on the cold ones because it just I started putting quite stark contrast with the cold ones on the purple. So I just used some really quite bright teal colors and some darker purples and some lighter purples and some greens and blues and stuff. And then I just washed it and did a few layers of a light dry brush, but enough to sort of colorize it and bring it out into a lighter sort of a mauvey purple, I suppose, still with a lot of natural variation. And it seems to come out okay.
Did you mean to have? I'm just looking at the tail, and the top section's a bit dry brushed and lighter, and the bottom section underneath the side spikes are quite pronounced and bright. Is there meant to be like a two-tone there?
Well, I mean, the side spikes are like brighter, as in they're supposed to be bone
colored. Oh yeah, but underneath, is the paint underneath brighter? Actually, look kind of really cool in the picture.
Yeah, like under the belly, it's like a sort of a pale yellowish color. I think, is that what you mean? Like underneath the tail?
Oh no, not underneath, just underneath the spikes. The purples. They just seemed a bit brighter. I didn't know if you had like different tones going with some of the scales as well.
Yeah, I have like the scales themselves. Yeah, different tones and different scales and that type of thing. So yeah, there's different variation there.
That looks cool.
So it seems to coming okay there. So I got a chunk done. I've probably got about halfway through the unit now today, which is good because we've done this is sort of prep for the next slow grow in January. What else did I do? So a couple other things. So I got some game mats. I got 3 game mats from Deep Cut Studios, which is going to come in handy.
Cool.
For CanCon, but also for the slow grow. So I actually took them to the slow grow on Sunday.
Yeah, because that's right. I remember on the first one you said they didn't have a lot of that stuff. They got terrain, did they, or not enough? Even that was a bit.
they had a lot of
more
sci-fi
40,
terrain.
40K,
that's
yeah.
right. Yes, that's
so
right.
yeah, so I was getting more organized. So I had my mats, and I knew what I had to bring in terms of hills and stuff. So I just took a whole pile of stuff with me.
Yeah.
And came in at 10, set it all up, and started playing at 10:30. But yeah, that's for the slow grow bit. But yeah, I had the two mats. Now I bought 2 grass ones and 1 snow one, but I don't actually have any snow terrain. So this has triggered a bit of a change in my priorities because, I bought the snow one because I wanted to go with the slow grow, the Slannesh theme snow bases that I got, but I don't actually have any other snow terrain yet. So one of the things I've been doing this week is starting to print off some impassable sort of rocky terrain that's going to go well as snow base. And I'd already done some other hills a few months ago that I actually decided not to use for my regular grassy ones because they were too rocky. But they actually work really well for this theme mat. So yeah, I'm going to start working on that. I'm not sure if I'll be able to do that before CanCon or not, but it'd be nice to be able to use that mat if we need. I don't know. It depends how many tables of terrain we have and mats and stuff. We seem to have a fair bit now. So I was working a little bit on that, and then the last couple of things I did. One of it was actually got something that I've been trying to design for a while, which is like a little convertible movement tray that's got 2 strips of 20 mil by 100 mil. So 5 20 mil bases. So each 2 of them. So you can either have it 1 by 10, and there's magnets on the side, so they just click in together.
Yep.
So it's like a single long file, or you can disconnect them, and then there's a set of 4 magnets in the front and the back that you can just slide them in, so it's a 2 by 5.
2 by 5.
So they're ranked.
That's awesome.
So if you
does it not have edges then around? Like, how does it work? Okay.
No, it's rimless.
Rimless one. Okay. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So I had to get a particular strong enough mag flex to be able to do that with, because some of the weird thing with Back to Basics is some of the mag flex I got a few years ago was really silvery and really strong, and then some of the ones that are more recently are sort of a darker black color, and they're not quite as strong.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. Yeah, although I did buy a bunch the other day and it was the good stuff, so I don't know.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I want that. I'm running low because it's so much more strong. Like it's weird. Like it's almost too strong in the lipped trays because it actually makes it hard to get stuff out. But now when I put it on the lipless tray, the stuff isn't as strong. It's like, oh, this is actually isn't quite strong enough.
Because you're picking them up with the units now. Like you're not, because usually you'd pick it up on the movement tray and you probably don't notice it even if they're a bit weaker. And plus they're shoved in usually. Like by the time you put texturing and stuff on the edge,
that is exactly why I'm like, I want to go without a lip, because it's frustrating me, because half the time I end up not being able to jam them all in because there's just not quite I need that extra 0.1 of a millimeter to do so. It's just so annoying.
That's good.
And anyway, I mean, this will be nice for the 6th edition, but as soon as Old World comes out and I need base adapters, it's not going to be as useful. But I don't know. I'll have to work out what I'm going to do with bases in that regard. I'll definitely use converters. It's just a matter of whether I can devise a way
for the rules we've seen now, I'm far less stressed about, especially say the game comes out, say it came out whenever. It's like date A, and Andrew says, let's play. I'll just play because it doesn't feel like it's that big a deal.
No.
As compared to, and you don't even need to do any maths. It's just the fact that the unit probably sometimes is not exactly where like if you're going to be anal about it, you go, well, technically you can't charge over here because it's, slightly narrow. Well, I should be able to charge because it should be on a wider base, that type of thing. Like, but it's not affecting, attacks and stuff really too much anyway, at least.
No. And you guys will be both on 20s, like you'll both be in base for 6, so it makes matters even less. For sure. For sure.
Yeah, so that's a good thing. But we'll be we'll get into that in that section, but it feels like there's a few base changes coming. So
we'll hit that soon. And the last thing I did was I did actually buy a replacement Dremel. Last week I was
a
very
trigger
sad
one or
about
just
my
a
old one.
normal, like it's in. Did you find
it's a
one
normal
more,
one,
okay.
but it's This one, it's got like a little flexible hose. It's got an attachment that I can put on a flexible hose with so it's got a little pen thing at the end.
Oh.
So it actually doesn't have the weight of the Dremel. You can just hang the Dremel up and then just use it as a little Dremel.
Yeah.
It was a pretty significant investment, but I really needed
it.
So I used it all the damn time. So, and yeah, it's actually really it. It is a bit more to set up because you can't just grab it and use it, but I feel like it does have more sort of torque at lower RPMs, and it seems to be a bit more versatile in that way. So yeah.
How long is the flexible shaft / tubing?
Probably like this wide.
He's holding up like 2.5 feet or something.
Great podcasting. About half a meter, I think. Yeah. About half a meter long. So just enough that you can just hang it nearby or whatever and be able to use it without it getting in the way, I guess.
So it comes as like a box sort of thing, like a little box.
Yeah, the Dremel itself is like a little. What do you mean the box?
Like you're saying, like you hang it up, like the main bit that this.
Yeah, the Dremel tool itself. Yeah, you just hang up, and then you've got like the hose sort of plugs into where the drill bit would normally go. Yeah, and then it just transfers the rotational force along that hose, and and then it goes through a little hand piece at the end, which is really light and very easily maneuvered because the hose is really flexible. That works well.
That's pretty cool.
Because the other thing is this machine, you can bet other attachments where you've got like a press drill and like routers and like wow, okay. So I might look at a press drill maybe. But
gonna Google this right now.
Maybe link to
it. As I said, see this. I very rarely use it for miniatures. It's only for terrain stuff really that I use it. But for that purpose, it's especially for like building my fences where my
flexible Dremel.
My little matchstick fences. I actually use the Dremel to burr away the wood.
Have you finished them now?
No, I haven't started on
Oh
them.
God! Have you taken holidays over summer? You're going to need it with all these projects you got going.
I know. After CanCon, I'll be like, that's it. I'll be like completely burnt out. I haven't even played. I'll just be burnt out from doing terrain.
Cool. Oh, well, it's still a fair bit, Josh. Yeah, in just 6 days, but it's been a good weekend.
Look, it gives us content for the podcast.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
That's it.
That's why I'm in here. I'm doing my podcast. I'm doing my scenery for the podcast.
Right.
The other two guys are shit, especially Andrew. He doesn't do anything. Andrew does nothing. I'm making up for his slack ass.
Cool. Hey, let's get on the main topic then, should we? Or are you, Josh? Should we go? We'll do the old world stuff first.
Yeah, do the old world first.
Yeah. Break it up a bit. Sounds good.
Yeah, then I'll chat about the saga at the end, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Well, I mean, I think people listening will have already read it, hopefully, but if you haven't, it's it's basically it's touted as a special rules article, but I mean they do it by digging into the Grail Knights of the new Bretonnians that are coming out. Ironically, the Grail Knights are not new, at least the models, which is a bit sad.
Are they still on 25s by 50s?
They are. Yeah.
They look at.
They are, don't they?
100%.
Oh, so ridiculous.
I'll take this first bit if you guys want. The Grail Knights are the epitome of the Bretonnian ideal of chivalry, warriors of immeasurable prowess, and exemplars of courage, virtue, and noblesse oblige. I don't even know how to say
noblesse oblige?
Oblige? Yeah. Arguably the most devastating heavy cav plying their trade in the old world. These are literally the last living saints your average devotee of the Dark Gods want to meet out on the battlefield. I feel like, we'll get into this, but the overall sum of this, it felt like these guys got a pretty good buff, at least on some of their stuff. We don't know how it all interacts, but interesting that they've chosen this unit to do that with, probably because of the number of rules, I guess, but at the same time, it's an older model as well. So it's just interesting, some of the decisions they make. I'm not against it. It's just funny.
No.
I wonder if there's logic to it or not. I don't know.
Actually, here's a question, Josh. Sorry. Did you compare the points to 8th edition for the Grail Knights?
As in the 6th edition?
The same.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Yeah, there is no 8, so it's just 6.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same as it was in the. Well, yeah, we never got an 8th edition book. It hurts me so much. But yeah, sixth edition
of course,
one.
of course.
It was 38 points in that one too.
38 points.
Yeah,
the same points.
Of course. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Rub
but
salt in that wind.
I know. Well, yeah, I was very pleased to see. Yeah, after 20 years or 18 years, not 20, finally got some new rules for Bretonians. Although I guess Heroic Killing Blow technically was an update, but yeah.
Yeah. So they buffed him a bit here. So like, that's good. Not only the points are the same, however, the stats are a bit different. Did you want to run through that, Josh?
There's actually a large amount of buffs going on here. Weapon skill 6 used to be 5. Still strength 4. Toughness is now 4. It used to be 3.
It's massive.
Huge improvement in toughness. 1 wound, initiative 5 the same, 2 attacks same. An extra pip of leadership, so leadership 9 now as well.
Yeah.
The one nerf they got was for ballistic skill.
Same as that, whatever it was the other day. It's like, who cares?
This is skill 2 now, so don't give a bow to a Grail Knight. The other buff they got is the Grail Guardian now gets an extra attack, whereas in 6th edition they were all considered champions, so apparently no human could have more than 2 attacks unless they were a character. I don't know.
So they
must have what they decided.
You wouldn't have there was no even character upgrade then because of it. Like champ, sorry, upgrade.
No.
Yeah, because they're all champs.
No, they were all champs.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Which led into the special rule. Which one is it? The Living Saints rule, I think it is in here.
Where they accept challenges.
Where they can all accept challenges because they were considered all champions. So it's weird that in this, it doesn't quite, it strikes my head, feel weird where they're talking about they're all champions, but there's one that's more champion than the others. So one's a bit more equal than the rest of it. So the champs got an extra attack, which I guess makes sense. But then we've got troop type heavy. That's interesting that the troop type is heavy cavalry. Actually,
yes.
I hadn't actually read that.
So we've got heavy cav there, and they've had that. I don't know. I should have looked this up, but I don't know if they've called stuff light cav, or there's been definitely the term dropped around either light troops and light cav and fast. So I wonder if it's just heavy cavalry and fast cav, or heavy cavalry and light cav. Like I wonder if that's it, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see that. But it just popped into me. And then we've got a base size reveal, slightly narrower than the unicorn, 30 by 60.
Yeah, the unicorn was the 40 by 60, wasn't
it? Yeah. So then we're all like wondering, how on earth is that going to fit in a lance?
Yeah,
it's going to look a bit strange.
Yeah.
Because it's not double or anything, and it just doesn't add. Yeah.
No, it's just an extra 10 mil. So maybe the back rank will be like 10 mil wider.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Which is going to cause havoc with movement tray adapters.
Yeah.
I feel
Damn you, GW.
This is happening all over the place. Given that, I mean, I think I took a picture of this somewhere. There was what did you guys see the Warhammer official answer to someone's question about can we get a base size chart? Did you see that? Yesterday?
Was that a while ago?
Yes. No, it was just today, and they'll just say all base sizes will be included on units profile. If you want to get the correct sizes, we'd recommend waiting until they're all published, as it's not necessarily the same for all cavalry and infantry. So, because other people were saying that they're not convinced that everything's going to 30 by 60 for cav, for example. So I feel like, I don't know. Again, I hope there's a logic or reason to the madness, so to speak. But I hope we just don't end up with a crap ton of different base sizes.
I don't think we will. I think that post is more just cautiously saying, don't assume everything. And it might not be that there's a whole bunch of different bases. It might just be that there are a couple of exceptions. And you shouldn't just assume everything is because, from a PR standpoint, if I want to avoid people having to make complaints about, I rebased this, but now it's the wrong base. We're going to wait for the thingo, which definitely will happen. But 30 by 60 for the Grail Knights. That gives me confidence that I can start planning most of my, the Bretonian base, because I don't imagine anything will be anything
not for
small
the Knights,
for
at least.
Bretonian Knights.
No.
And I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised. Do you think there could be cav smaller. Do you think?
So this is where someone was talking about it, saying could heavy cavalry be 30 by 60 and could be light cav be 25 by 50s again? You know, in terms of because they're generally smaller, but are they? You know, this is I don't know.
Yeah.
But the pistoliers, for example, will be light, and I reckon. I'm trying to think, they'd bump into each other a bit. So
yeah, I'd be surprised if they didn't have that. I think it's more likely that there'll be other ones that are just bigger, like maybe Chaos Knights will be on a slightly bigger base, or Blood Knights, or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. So otherwise, what was it? So your minimum unit size is 3+, which is the same as the 6 set book.
I thought that was going to be different, then I realized it probably isn't because they were all champs and stuff. So
yeah. No, I don't know why they. I'm surprised, but also I mean, I think it's just because they're so expensive per model that you need to have a low unit size. Although 3+ in the new lands is going to look a bit strange.
Yeah.
No, I feel like the 3+ originally was because
be like these little darts, you know, like sending these little 3 units out.
Yeah,
threes of threes or something, you know.
yeah, for sure. But yeah, I think what's the next one? So then, equipment-wise, the Grail Knights have got hand weapons, lances, heavy armor, and shield, and then the Baharian Warhorse has iron shod hooves, which is a hand weapon, and barding. It's bizarre that they have to spell that out, but
counts as hand weapon.
Yeah,
that one, the iron shod shoes.
Yeah,
it's weird.
And then options, any unit. So the Grail Knights can have +7, which is interestingly cheap for the champ upgrade, champ bearer, and musician. It's just standard across the board, which is cheaper than the 6 head one, because in 6 head the champ Bretonnian's got a free champion, by the way, for every knight unit, which was probably an unnecessary buff to that book. It almost pushes it a bit too powerful. I feel like if you took that option away, it might actually bring it back to closer to the other 6th edition books powerful. Anyway, that's a tangent. But in the 6th book, I think it was the banner was 20 points and the musician was 10 points.
Right, and in 8th, everything was 10, wasn't it? Was that one? Not for standard, I mean in general. Yeah,
I thought it was standard. 10 points,
Oh, was it? Yeah, okay. I can't remember. Yeah. So does that mean they're making everything cheaper still?
Don't know. Yeah, it looks like. I mean, we don't know if it's going to be different per unit, but you know,
we're going to be forced to play like 1,800 points as standard rather than 2,000 because everything's so cheap that you end up with massive armies. And then next one, which is new, purchase a magic standard up to 100 points. This is completely novel. We've never had this in Warhammer before.
No.
Have we?
It's massive. No,
it's only been BSBs as far as I know.
Yeah, not just for a standard unit.
I've got them for high elves in 6th edition.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Touche.
Yeah, they got point limits for magical standards.
But 100
at 100 points.
No. Oh, no.
That's what we were talking about. Like,
are you saying
went from 50 to 100?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about a points limit.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
most of them, as far as I knew, were 50.
That is quite generous.
But
yeah. I have to check Dragon Princes. I think they were quite generous. I don't think it was 100 points, but no.
Yeah. Because I feel like, Grail Knights are not especially known, like to be magical. Like if they can use 100 points, then I feel like that's going to be a relatively common option for most elite units.
Yeah, they'll have that sort of like 2 or 3 elite banners kicking around that usually a BSB will only have access to.
And then you can take this. So is this different, Josh? The single nightly virtue, all magic items up to 50, or that's the same? Like, how did that work?
Oh yeah, that's completely novel as well. Yeah, no, you've never been able to take magic items or a virtue on a champion.
Right, okay.
And the way I read it, I don't know if you read it like this because it sounds like your thing is all, but for me it looks like you can take a virtue of any cost and then also 50 points of magic items.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, if you scroll down, I mean, let's jump ahead a bit, but that virtue they did list didn't have any points on it, did it? No, but I guess neither did the magic item, so you don't know. Okay.
No, no, there's no points on them down there.
It certainly looks like that, doesn't it? Because surely they wouldn't have a dot. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say if people listening to this, but it looks like it's a dot point with just a single nightly virtue, and then another dot point, magic items up to 50 points.
Yeah.
So,
which I suspect might be consistent in this army list now that, you know, virtues are considered separate to the magic item budget.
Yeah.
But yeah, which could be a significant change.
Could like a no-brainer to take for 7 points to get access to that, basically.
Absolutely.
And a +1 attack.
Yeah. I guess they're trying to encourage everyone to have command, but I don't know. You want a reasonable cost to it, because then you actually makes a decision about do you take them or not. You know?
It's not just
they're so cheap, it's auto include. It's less interesting in terms of list building. So then we've got special rules. A few of them. Blessings of the Lady, Close Order, Counter Charge, Finest War Horses, First Charge, Lance Formation, Living Saints, Swift Stride, the Grail Vow.
So is this the reason why they chose this guy? I don't know. This unit because of the amount. But
I mean,
I was just going to say, before we jump onto each of those special rules, should we cover the Lance attack, because they seem to jump straight back onto that next.
Yeah.
And then the special rules. Or?
Yeah, I'll just say, as much as that's a long list.
Yeah,
I think, what is it? There's 1, 2, 3. There's probably 4 of them that are army special rules for Bretonnians. 2 of them, one is Close Order, which is just not even a thing. Cannon Charge might just be a regular cav thing. And Swift Stride. So it's really only Living Saints and the Grail Vow that are specific to.
Yeah.
I think the First Charge might be a Bretonnian thing as well. I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and see.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm hoping it's not, because it sounds pretty cool. But
it seems pretty powerful.
Yeah.
But it's mentioned in the same paragraph as some of the other Bretonnian only rules. So I don't know. We'll work it out later. But we'll talk about the Lance and stuff.
So I guess in general, though, I mean, they mentioned this in the article. They're basically, what's under this bit anyway, is. Yeah, I think the 8th might have had maybe 30 or 40 special rules. Now you got 75, but a lot of it's just pulled from different areas. I guess it's yet to be seen if that's a good idea. I mean, I like it that it's on the unit thing, but it does give people, it gives them more triggers to pull on things. Whereas if you just went like, monsters always have D6 like Thunderstomp and this, and this. Like on one hand, that's easy to remember if you know the game, but on the other hand, it's easy to forget, and it's hard to sort of make a monster that doesn't have a Thunderstomp or doesn't have that type of thing. So maybe they've gone, no, well, let's make everything granular, which sounds like what they've done, where they've just like pulled every special rule. So even though they're like, I guess what I'm getting at, what's the deal of troop type? What does it give you? Versus if it's all special rules, like, so there must be the troop type must do something that's a rule around what it does, but it seems like they pull a lot of the stuff out of them anyway and put it into special rules.
Yeah, I mean, troop type might come down to, it's a keyword like for other effects in the game. Yeah, like terrain effects or spell effects, that type of thing, where they often be the target of things, I think.
Yeah. So I'm not against what they've done. It's just, it's a different change, and I guess it's almost like maybe they should have color coded them a little, like put all the normal stuff and then the army specific special rules together. Maybe they have. I guess we don't really know. But you're right. Swiss Stride's there. So
yeah, why is Swift Stride there? Like, you're right.
It's not in alphabetical order, is it? Or is it? No, it's not.
It is. No, it is, because the Grail Vow is the last one.
Okay, yes, okay, yeah.
Because I thought about this earlier. I was like, what is that? Yeah, no. So they haven't. They should. I agree. They should list it in order of basic unit rule, army special rules, and then special rules pertaining to that unit specifically.
Just make it a bit easier.
Because otherwise, it's just a clutter of.
Yeah, because I think your brain will eventually go, you won't even look at close order, counter chat, like those type of things.
No.
You'll be wanting to know the special stuff, and it's all sort of manged together. Anyway, we'll see. It's a pretty minor thing to complain about. I don't really care. It's a good game.
Yeah, well, it's a complaint in that, because there is a valid complaint or concern about making too many special rules and making it all a bit overwhelming. But I think your valid complaint in that that's an impression of this, this unit entry. But really, there's actually not many extra special rules specific to this unit. These are
and I will say, I actually would rather, from what I've seen with 10th Ed 40K, where they've gone back a little bit, I think, but at some point, I think 40K pulled away from having special rules and put it all in the unit cards. The problem there is they end up in this stupid case where they're like, creature A has this rule called blah, and creature B has another rule called whatever, but they're the same bloody rule, but they're called different things. So if you're playing another army and they've got, I've got this whatever fancy doodah thing, and you're like, what does that do? This, well, it's the same as what I've got, but at least so. If they can keep that in the core book and have like 99% of the things in there, and then the special, even an army book, still just different army books have more of certain universal special rules with their own little one added in here and there, I'd be happy with that because it's just easier to play against, You know what the rules do.
Sure.
Once you learn the 75 rules, but well, the big change I see here too, just before we go on the special rules and just sort of the stats and stuff and how things happen, is this armor stuff around. It looks like, am I right in that you don't get a +1 from mounted?
Oh yeah, this is massive.
Yeah,
this is huge. So I think it's just you don't get a mount, so you still get the bartered bonus. The things that are mounted don't get a +1 anymore. Which means that on balance, I guess it depends on the context of the game, but overall, this is a nerf.
It's a huge nerf.
A huge nerf to Grail Knights, but
huge.
To all cav really.
Yeah, I wonder if the light cav stuff, if they're in skirmisher or something like that, if they, I guess they're harder to hit potentially. I don't know. It's going to be weird. So I wonder, because you'll be running around with cav with just no save at all. But I mean, t-shirt save, what's that? Doesn't really matter, I guess.
I guess the thing we don't really know is the full context of this change yet. Like we don't really know how prevalent armor piercing is going to be.
Yeah, well, we do know that it's not armor piercing, whatever it's called. Like, is not. Is it armor piercing? Yeah, armor piercing is not as good as it was. If you know what I mean? Like, we've seen that. I mean, even here the lances. Yeah, so like it's definitely we've seen where they've dropped off a bit.
I'm
to
wondering,
balance that.
Is base strength no longer armor piercing? Like the Grail Knights strength 4 with a lance, their base APs are only -2. Like you're only getting armor piercing from weapons and spell effects,
basically.
I think
as far as I understand it.
Yeah.
So there's less armor piercing hitting you. So if you had a bunch of 1+ or 2+ save knights, they're going to be bloody hard to shift. So I think. Oh, we just lost Andrew. Given that they've got toughness 4 as well, I think that 3-up's probably going to end up being pretty good still, if you know what I mean? Like tough 4, 3-up, not as much armor piercing running around. We'll see. But yeah, if you can get to a 2-up or whatever through magic, man, that's gonna be really hard to shift.
No, I think I guess the toughness 4 does help to mitigate that.
And then we get an answer on armor bane, because so the lance, its strength is usually +2, like you said, it's only AP -2, so you're only getting that -2. And then we get armor bane, so we finally know what it does.
I've been waiting for armor bane. We've been speculating with this, and I guess this is one of the possibilities that we did talk about with armor bane, Andrew. So because I think we were speculating whether it would be like essentially a killing blow,
Yeah.
where it was like no armor, or whether it just be -1.
Yeah.
And it turns out it is just -1 on a 6 to wound. Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah, I think I was a bit confused thinking because there was an armor bane 2, I think.
Yeah, I think it's an armor bane 2 on the Shaggoth, I think.
Yeah, and what I didn't realize is, are you still, is it on a roll of a 5 or 6? You get a -2.
Yeah.
It's that, but it's always 6. So the only thing, I do have a complaint about this, and we'll talk about it with charging. Another little, and I shouldn't even complain, but it's like, are we going to see a little bit more annoyance in rolling like different batches of dice and stuff?
Yes.
Like just,
I'm on board with this complaint for sure. Definitely.
Because I was. Do you think it would be OP if armor bane was on a roll of a natural 6 on any of your 2 wound rolls? They all get that. You know what I mean? So if you had 3 attacks, 3 wounds went through, one of them hit a 6, all your attacks are now at -1. So you're not having like, I'll take 2 saves, but one of them's at -1, one of them's at -2.
I almost would prefer that. Yeah,
it's a little bit more powerful, but I just think, oh god,
So sorry, just to clarify, if something's like multiple wounds, 3 or 2, something like that.
What with what I said, or just in general with armor bane?
Just what your complaint was going to be if somebody like getting away
so
from those
imagine if you've got
dice.
3 attacks and armor bane 1, and well, even it doesn't matter. Like if you've got bows shooting and and you're firing, whatever, and 3 of them hit and wound, but only one of your wound rolls a 6. Now the other people have to take 2 different armor save values.
Yeah, 2 different separate rolls to see
yeah,
if they save.
I understand.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which, happens from time to time, but I feel like because armor bane I feel is going to be a bit more prevalent than those other things. I reckon
super prevalent.
You'll end up be splitting a lot of this stuff.
Yeah,
I just feel
would
like
be pretty common. Yeah.
Would it be OP just to go, okay, you rolled a 6, awesome, all of your attacks are at armor bane value? I don't know. I guess that would be OP potentially for bow shots. When you've got 20 volleys going at it, you're going to roll a 6.
Yeah,
and suddenly
I suppose. Yeah,
So,
correct.
yeah.
For what you're saying about, they're talking about speeding up the game, and now they're putting in mechanics that are like you're piss farting around with different dice or different rolls. Yeah. No, Colin, I get you 100%.
Yeah.
On board.
Again, it's not a massive complaint, but I'm just a little bit.
No, it is. It's going to be annoying because you're either going to have to do them in 2 separate spots and go, this is the armor bane one, this is not the armor, and roll them at the same time. Or you roll one, count them all up, and then do another set of rolling.
Yeah.
Or you try to have
doing a lot of
different colored dice
in
or
our
something
heads
like
as
that,
well, because and I'm not complaining too much about D3s either, but there's going to be a lot of times we're rolling a dice that's not actually, I don't know, it feels like it's like this one's this, and
it's a basic way of speeding up the game. It's just having the number of dice in your hand that you think they're going to be wounds, and you just roll them. And this is actually going to impede your ability to do that efficiency.
It will slow down.
Really annoying.
God, anyway, it's a pretty minor one, but at least we got the answer. But the other thing, Andrew, when you dropped out, I think we were talking about that because this lower armor save, that higher which way do you put it? But not as good armor save for Cav might not be too bad, given that there is less AP going around.
It's not a direct correlation between the strength and the AP like there used to be.
Then we'll just go through and let's chat on each of these bolded special rules then. So they say close order is, this gets weird because they just basically say, to me it reads like close order are just people who are in ranks and files, but there must be other rules, surely. I don't know.
Yep.
But maybe there's not. I don't know. But there's not much else we know about, is that right?
Doesn't sound like there is, It's just that they're not skirmishers or fast cover.
Yeah, it's just weird because I think someone said the unicorn doesn't have close order on it, but it does say it can go in a unit. So it's just
but I think characters might not be included in that definition anyway. I still feel like there might be ranked up units that don't get close order, like beastmen type things, but we'll just have to wait and see, I think.
Yeah, I don't think we know enough about it, but that's cool. At least we know it's related to sort of formations and stuff. And we already knew about Stomp, that it's just one thing now, but you're just going to have a different number on it. So I don't think there's anything. I like that because, again, more granularity on different creatures can have different Stomp values. And then we get on the
big difference between Thunderstomp and Stomp, wasn't there? Like,
it's
either 1 or D6.
Except for when you rolled a bloody 1. I know.
That's true. It's the same, I guess. But true. Sorry. Anyway,
and then we get on to the special rules for the ladies. And this is where you're saying all these other ones are under that, but
these are all under the heading special rules for the Grail Knights.
But they do talk about Swift Stride under here too, so I don't think maybe it is different. Yeah, they do talk about Swift Stride further down.
Oh, it is
so
there
hopefully,
too. Yeah, they talk about everything.
Who knows? I don't. This is not a rule book. At least we just know it's an article. So you've got the same blessing in the lady. Gosh, no change.
No, I really was expecting that it would change in some way. Because it's all. Maybe they've just been trying to keep an element of a classic feeling of Bretonians now because it's been this way for so many years that they couldn't possibly consider changing it to something else. Because
can't change too much. Got to keep those old folks happy.
Because it's essentially the same as it's always been. 6 up ward and then goes to a 5 up if it's rank 5, and then you got to pray, so you go second kind of thing, which I wouldn't have minded it being slightly different after all these years. I'm just trying to remember what the 5th edition one was, because I'm pretty sure it wasn't. If you give me about 30 seconds, I'll be able to find it.
At least the learning curve hopefully won't be too huge if you're going to be keeping quite similar rule sets. Like
I mean, even the points, like nearly every points we've seen is almost the same. I mean, I know the modifications aren't, but I think someone said that what was the other points we saw? Was it Shaggoth or something? It seemed pretty close as well. So it was just the magic itemy type ones. They're all the same. You get the 50-point ones and the 100-point ones. So it's gonna feel like the next version, that's for sure.
It does. Like everything I'm reading, it just like it's good. I'm like little gripes. You can have little gripes with any game, aren't you? But
and until we've played it too, who knows? Like when you take that magic phase out, if we're not armoring on that, who cares about rolling different dice?
Yeah.
So at least we're rolling dice.
Yeah, exactly.
So, while Josh is doing that, unless he's
I've got it. So no, it is. You do go second. That's the same dynamic, and even in 5th edition. Funnily enough, Lady will not bless the army if it includes any war machine of any kind. Was the old 5th edition fluff. So no trebuchet was allowed back then. Then it was slightly different, where it just curses anything that it sees as dishonorable, like mainly weapons of mass destruction. Bizarre phrase in this. Where we basically had to roll a 4 up to shoot a bolt thrower, stone thrower, or other sort of war machine. And then I think the other regular BS shooters didn't have to test unless they were shooting at knights. So the war machine had to shoot at any Bretonnian. They would have to check, but like crossbowmen and bows and that type of thing wouldn't have to check if they were shooting peasants. But if they were shooting knights, they would have to roll a 4 up for each model.
And then you still get the wards and everything as well.
No wards.
Oh, okay, it was that.
No,
okay.
so that was instead of the 6 up, 5 up ward for which was probably a lot better, because it meant in combat you could actually get a ward save. But so in 5th ed it was just a huge shooting
stuff.
But you still had to go second to get that. Interesting.
That's probably where it came from, because they probably started out to go second. That means you're going to get shot, so therefore you need to have this shooting stuff, and it changed in 6th. Cool. So we get countercharge. So this is related to everything. It's not just Brett's then.
I'd be thinking this is a cav thing. Yeah, a heavy cav thing maybe.
So I like this. So I've read this as long as they've charged you outside of their movement characteristic, and it feels like they have to have completed the charge, like rolled the dice. And made sure they completed it, because then you can then spur your horses and you meet D3 plus 1. Towards
maybe.
them. Is that how you read it? Because then you're not.
I don't. Yeah, maybe. It doesn't say successful. It doesn't specify really. I don't think if it's a successful charge or not. I'm sure in the rule book it will.
No, exactly. No, you're right. Yeah. It just says, because if our Grail Knights are charged by units such as these from a longer distance, so because it doesn't really have to be, but you get these weird cases if it was a failed charge. What do you do and stuff like that? So
I think it would have to be. I don't know. It's interesting. Like it seems good in terms of good for the unit to be powerful. I'm not. Tactically, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
Did we see countercharge? Didn't we see this in that Ancients book?
It was very similar to this, where it was only effective against cav.
Yes,
it wasn't something you could use against infantry. So very similar dynamic. So it'd be interesting to hear, to see from the Warhammer Ancient side, how this kind of thing plays out. Because my impression is it does reward, loose play a little bit more, I guess. Whereas, if you've got a cav facing off, then you just push it forward because you're like, well, we'll both counter-charge each other anyway, so it doesn't really matter who charges. Whereas currently it's actually super critical, super important, and there's a huge game of chicken about it. It's make or break. So I mean, so it'd be interesting to hear from those guys as to how it affects the sort of game within the game. Because from playing fantasy Like it's actually a hugely tactical element of playing Bretonnians. You've got to use your redirectors. You've got to judge your distances properly. It's actually most of the game for me is trying to outcav other cavalry.
Did that affect in Ancients other charges? So could that possibly put you in a flank position if you went forward far enough? Or did you declare all your charges in one go? Because if you move one charge and then another unit all of a sudden
did
you're
we
in the flank,
see this back in the strategy one or whatever, that this is not like 8th where you have to, this is where I think you have to declare everything and then the reactions happen? Or is it more like 8th where you go do one resolve? I thought it was the other way.
But if you move one at a time,
rules to discuss.
Then sort of like
I think you do sequentially. I can't remember. Yeah, but you're right though. Yeah, although do you move? Do you declare react, and then move everything though? Like, wouldn't that be the
yeah, probably, yeah.
Well, I'm wondering that, but then like you could declare react, but then when you move, part of your movement is work out which flank you're going into. So you might have somebody that's in your front flank. You've moved, a possible 4 inches forward, and then somebody else who might be in, just say it's a double charge.
Yeah. The other ones
might end up in your flank, not in your front.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that could happen for sure.
Yeah. Guess you can pre-measure a lot of that, so you might be able to tell. Well, you don't know what you've rolled, I guess.
Well,
so this is the thing. Yeah. Oh, it's going to be interesting. But no, I like different dynamics. Well, totally. As I said, we haven't had this in fantasy, so we have no idea how it's going to play.
Yeah.
That's cool. Finest war horses is another one. So this is a Bretonnian only rule. So they have mentioned that there. That's cool. So you get to re-roll 1s when you charge, flee, or pursue. I reckon that's an awesome rule.
That's a huge rule, isn't it? It just, man, it just makes charge. Yeah. I mean, if that was a rule just for charging, I'd still be like, wow, that's amazing. Because it just makes all your charges so much more reliable. Like, anytime you roll a 1, and assuming it's going to be on 3 die, so that we talk about that in the next subject.
We'll talk about. I'm not totally sure about that.
It's because you're already picking at least one of two dice that's the highest. So if you're re-rolling any ones that you roll, then you're going to have very reliable charge ranges.
Yeah.
And you get the fact you get to do it with fleas or pursuits as well. Fleas, actually. What? Like Skaven, re-rolling 1s on the flea. What the heck?
Is that? Do you reckon the flea, when you do a what's it called, fallback in good order, whatever it's called, is that class as a flea?
That's a question I don't think the article's deep enough to handle, but I don't think so.
Nah.
I think a flea is a break and flee as in you roll over your leadership distance, I reckon.
Okay.
Or a charge reaction.
Just weird that you wouldn't get it on that though. Even if you got, but I guess you are falling back on good order, so you're not going fast. So
you're not trying to necessarily go far.
No, it's a good buff. I reckon that's
a
an
massive
awesome
buff, and that's Bretonnian across. That's amazing. And then what else was that? And then
first charge.
Then they've got the first charge thing. Now
I hope it's a full cav or something. Maybe not full cav, but I hope I hope that's available to a fair few other, not just Bretts.
I don't know. It's wedged between finest horses and lance formation.
Yeah.
So in this paragraph, I just feel like this is all
the game
Bretts.
Makes contact, the target unit loses its rank bonus. Because I could just really see some cool things like with Monstrous Cab for that. Because sometimes Monstrous Cab suffered from not having, a lot of rank bonuses and stuff.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to have them being able to do stuff like that as well. Just getting that first oomph in,
Yeah. I mean, it's very, the wording of it, it's pretty unimaginative, pretty generic first charge. It's not specific. It doesn't seem themed as a Bretonnian thing in that way.
Yeah.
So maybe it is just going to be in the regular book. I don't know.
Yeah, and then they say lance formation allows Bretonnian knights to form there. So who knows?
Yeah, then it doesn't really specify what that actually means. So, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Great.
And then offering a choice between this and close order. Preps could always choose, in 5th, you could choose to deploy normally as well. You didn't have to use the lance. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you could
that's
always
the same.
choose.
Yeah. And we don't actually know totally what the lance formation does.
No.
It? Like, we're just assuming it's like 5th.
Yeah,
but it probably is, but, you know.
Still have no idea what it is. But yeah, I assume it's just going to be everyone on the front rank, which is now considered to be each side of the wedge can fight.
Yeah.
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 But then the question will be, do you get rank bonuses and that kind of thing, and how that all works?
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. Like, if this is a specific Bretonian thing, maybe they do the first charge rule and then lance formation doesn't have rank bonuses, and that's why they have this debuff where you don't get a rank bonus. So that
if you don't break them on that first turn, you're screwed. But that's like normal. But this just helps you that.
Well, so it might be like that sounds like a really strong rule, but in the context of a lance formation doesn't have rank bonus, maybe it's not that powerful. You know, like it'll be again, you need the context of the whole book to know really how to interpret these things.
Yep. Living Saints you chatted about earlier, so that's pretty much the same, is it? Basically, just that all Grail Knights and Mighty Warriors, they can individually issue challenges.
Yep, that has not changed at all.
I love how they Goblin bosses. Watch out!
I know, what the heck?
Like, I don't think they care. I don't think the Goblin bosses. Actually, there was a lot of Goblin bosses in 8th, so you could spam them pretty good. So maybe that's maybe that was deliberate. Then we get to Swift Stride, which we know is not Brett's only, and this is where we want to probably start talking about the maths here. But anyway, Swift Stride adds a further 3 inches to your maximum charge range and plus D6 to any given charge, flight, or pursuit flight. Okay. Have you guys done the maths and stuff? Like, do you think there's a difference between? Do you think there's a max charge range for most things? Like, we know, like, for example, infantry 4 can only go upwards of 10.
It'd be 10,
I guess. Is that right? Yeah. But do you think Cav have a different max charge to then potentially what they actually can roll for a charge range? Is this how you're reading it?
Well, I read it as it'd be 3 inches more than the 6 max that you would get normally, right? So
like 11 or
it'd be 9.
Yeah.
Plus your movement.
Yes, that's right. So 17.
Yeah. So it'd be like 17 if it was 8-inch charge.
Yeah, but you can roll higher than a 17, is that right? Well, not roll, but roll.
Yeah, you could roll higher, but that wouldn't matter.
But we haven't had that, have we? This is the first time that's ever been. Like, your max charge is whatever you can roll.
In 8th it was you take the 2 highest. Yeah, the 2 highest of 3 dice.
Yeah.
So it could be maximum of plus 12.
Yeah.
So but in 8th that's like saying Swiss Stride's the max of max 2d6 out of 3d6, but you can only ever charge, whatever that is, like 9 inches more than your movement.
Yeah, so even if you roll higher than 9, you could only ever charge 9 in this paragraph. It seems to imply, doesn't it?
Yeah, which is different. Like, we haven't seen that though, so that sort of nerfs Cav a bit and brings this, because the whole movement's, I guess, less than what we've seen.
Which is great.
Yeah, no, I like it.
It's very appropriate.
It's just very interesting
because they nerfed infantry as well. In terms of they're not just straight 2d6 anymore.
Yeah.
And what they've done, I can see what they've tried to do is really try to not just bring the ranges down a bit, but also narrow the band of variability or randomness.
Yeah.
So you're only really going to be rolling plus or minus, a couple of inches to the double your movement.
But what it does also do is, even though you might have Swiss Stride rules and all this, which add these D6s to it's like, well, your max charge range, what your Cav max charge declaring range is anyway. So then you can get your tape measure out and go like, well, there's no way they can charge me because I'm outside of that.
Yeah. For sure.
Which might make some of that a little easier, because I know we're sort of complaining a little bit. It's more moving the charges with the wheel, or at least I was. But this might make 100%. It just easier to go, okay, your max range is 17, so I don't have to just stay out of that. So
no, that's true. It'll make it. The other thing I wasn't sure about, and this I don't think this is clear enough. I mean, the way I read this article, the way they've put it here is you add D6 to any given charge, etc.
Yeah.
So
I don't know what the
The charge range
there,
is,
yes.
is that so? Do you just roll 2 dice and pick the
2d6.
highest one, as an infantry, and then you roll an additional separate d6 to add that, or do you roll, or is you rolling 3 dice and picking the highest 2, like as you used to do with with any?
No, well, I think it's the first one you said, which is again annoying because now you've got 2 different dice.
Yeah, they got 2 different pools to roll.
Yeah.
Got to use different colored dice or something.
It
does just take more time, doesn't it? If you got to do this whole thing separately.
Yeah, no, it does.
But I don't know. For me, it makes no difference. Well, I don't know. Again, I haven't played one game, so no idea. But I couldn't imagine, given that you've got a max charge range set, why wouldn't you just let it just be 2d6 plus?
The 2 highest of 3. Yeah, I agree.
Because that's probably further, although I haven't done the maths. But who knows? And then you're re-rolling ones as well. So it's oh god.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, this article again. It's very open the way they've read it, the way they've written it. So who knows what their intent?
You're right. I mean, it could be just it's sort of. Yeah, it's
you just get to roll an extra d6.
You get to add an extra d6, which you do. But how the
what does that mean?
Who knows? Okay, cool.
Oh dear. And then
Grail Vow, is that a bit different?
Yeah, that is. Okay. It is, Colin. That is different in 2 ways. 2 ways. So the first one is obviously the massive change about the break test, which is really bizarre and unexpected. Because I don't know, like, is this something that thematically fits? The first time they fail a break test, they may automatically fall back in good order.
I guess it makes them like that. They're the best of the best, I guess. So they've seen everything.
Just very dwarven rule. I don't know. And it sort of just means you can really just push them forward. If they get charged, they countercharge. Or, even if you don't want to countercharge, you just sit there. And
It's a good way to,
they can just fall back in good
order. I know whereabouts you're going to end up if you're going to chase.
Maybe if you just get that rubber lance, just taken away from that, the chance of the rubber lance and just running off.
Like it turns them into a good Henville almost, they're not going to break because they can't break because they automatically not break. But that's totally not their purpose, and they're so expensive per model. You don't want to be taking too many wounds on the charge, so I would never use them like that. It's just it's a very bizarre rule. It's interesting. I'm sure it'll come in handy, but the other change is I don't know if this is intended or not, but I remember reading about the frenzy one as well. It says they're unaffected by fear and terror.
Yep.
So no panic.
Yeah. Because they used to be immune to psych, wasn't it? Is that what it was?
Or?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's immune to psych. So they no longer immune to panic, and because I remember the frenzy special rule that was mentioned a few weeks ago also said the same thing, where the article said the frenzy is not affected by fear or terror, and we all sort of thought, maybe they just haven't mentioned panic, but this is interesting. This is the second time now
it's not done it,
where they haven't mentioned panic as part of normal immunopsychology, which I think thematically, does that make sense? I think it might. I wouldn't mind it if more things were susceptible to panic.
Yeah, it's so good in 6. So good.
But things like panic, they're not unaffected by like men-at-arms running off or anything like pheasants.
No, that's the difference.
In the 6th book, they're not. Yeah, they just ignore that.
It's just got to be under 9s, doesn't it?
Yeah, classically that's been the case, and I'm sure that would, it's a really thematic rule, and I'd be very surprised if that got changed.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, I love it.
On top of that, you can load up on even more abilities with magic items and a nightly virtue for the Grail Guardian. There you go, where they sort of just talk about a nightly virtue, but again, we don't know if that's separate cost or whatever. And they've got a couple here. So the virtue of the Impetuous Knight gives him and the entire unit that he's with another increase possible charge range by 3 inches. Finally, when this model and its unit make a child roll, you may apply a D3 modifier to the result. So that lines up anyway. So you don't have to. It's not too weird, but it is an extra 3. So these Grail Knights can be going. I counted it up as being 20 if this is on there.
Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah. Yep. 20. Yeah, nice. And they get the Impetuous special rule though, which is
you must be adding it after, because when are you going to add this D3 in? You know what I mean? Like it's like so.
Yeah.
So it's 2d6, pick the highest and roll D3 and a D3, D6 and a D3.
It's a real math hammer, isn't it? Oh, yeah, great. We try.
They've got a few 9th age guys on the team, maybe. I don't know. Sorry, 9th age. Cool. Magic weapon, dragon slaying sword, a mighty blade. I don't need to read that. So it's combat, strength as user. This is weird. Magical attacks, monster slayer.
Yeah.
So we don't know what that is, but we're
No
assuming
idea.
it does
some kind of killing blow or something.
Killing blow or something. But then you got magical attacks on a magic sword.
Is that just?
Does that mean all swords, all magic weapons aren't magical attacks? Or again, is they just doing that weird thing going, no, they all will be, but they're all getting it written in there?
I think there might be.
Attacks.
Yeah, I think there might be. Yeah. Can I just say, Dragon Slaying Sword is one of the most generic and bland magic item titles that I can remember seeing in a Games Workshop.
That's an old school one, though, wasn't it?
Josh, classic is the word you're looking for.
Giant,
classic. Okay, sure.
Remember the Blade of Leaping
There's
Gold?
plenty of other good classic names they could have had. I don't know. It just seems...
Sure it was in the 4th edition battle.
So generic.
Magic.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, no.
Good point.
But I think that one, I mean, to that point, though, I think this is a standard magic weapon. I don't know if it's a Brett magic weapon.
Surely not.
I don't know. Monster Slayer might make it a Brett thing.
Yeah, it might actually, because they are like that, aren't they? The bottom one can't be though. That's the normal.
I thought Dragon Slayer would be a quite generic weapon. It's got a generic name, but
yeah, it might be.
Yeah.
Anyway, they've got a magic standard here, the Blazing Banner, which again is just the standard flaming attack special rules.
Yep.
I mean, it's probably the same as what it always has. Knocks out the regen. And that's pretty much it. Although they do mention that, actually, funnily, they call it the World of Legend again. I've seen that dropped around a few times. Do you reckon is that a new thing that? Because they talk about the old world or the world that was, but then you see this World of Legend pop up in some of the language they use. I don't know if that's something they're trying to brand it as, or I don't know.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that. Maybe they are.
They've written it somewhere else. I can't remember what it was. I was like, oh, that's interesting.
You reckon? Sorry, just spitballing, but surely this isn't like some alternate sort of weird realm thing going on, where like.
Well, they said the end times definitely happened, but yeah.
I don't know. Anyway,
they give a nice little peek at Dronian Squires at the end there as well, by the way.
Yeah. So what is that? That's not yeoman. This is something different again.
No, yeah, yeoman would be the mounted guys. Squires are the foot.
Okay. They're the guys that you had like skirmished up in that tray.
Yeah.
The list. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yep. So they're not new. Okay.
No, they're not. Yeah, they're not new. And yeah, they've got like, what is it, like 5 special rules going on? But again, they're like rehashing stuff that's probably part of the normal rules, you know.
Yeah.
Although it's interesting how they granulate them. So they've got open order and they've got skirmishes.
Yeah.
Which means for sure there's going to be units that have got the open order special rule that don't have skirmishes as well, right? Like, and what does that mean? Because there's also a move through cover special rule here as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then so that's separate to open order and skirmishes. Like,
it's very granular, which I get, but at the same time, I'm like, oh god.
Yeah.
It's almost like you have to double check a lot of the units to go, okay, it does have that rule. And I can imagine if this is the way it's going to be, the first FAQ that comes out is going to have adding all the missing ones they added, like forgot to add on to the, like they'll be like, oh, that unit's shit, it doesn't have this rule. And then they'll FAQ and go, sorry, it was supposed to have this, it's supposed to have this small rule that we forgot to add.
Yeah.
That same problem with the way they've done it. But anyway. But yeah, so move through cover. Again, we don't know what it is, but I'm guessing it means it's probably similar to that old Strider rule and stuff, maybe.
I guess so. But I just find it bizarre that it's not included in the skirmisher special rule. Like, you would have thought that would be just in that one. But apparently there are skirmishers that might not be able to move through cover. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's.
Although maybe it's because it might be cavalries that are skirmishers, so maybe they're.
You're right. Well,
That's why.
Didn't they mention something about that? With
I think they did. Yeah, they might be skirmishing
cav,
so maybe that's why they have separated it from that rule. Yeah. Maybe. And peasantry, I'm pretty sure is going to be
that one you talked about,
not causing panic to units with the vowels or something like that. Yeah.
Right,
and then we've got Vanguard.
Oh yeah,
I like having Vanguard.
Yeah, I think Vanguard is nice.
I missed that in 6.
Yep.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, I do.
I mean, assuming it'll be similar.
I agree. It is one of my favorite rules from 8th edition. That isn't in 6th edition.
Yeah, and so that's it. That does say Old World is up for pre-order sometime in the new year. Again, who knows if it's Jan 20? Seems a bit early, but who knows? And then next week is Army Selection. That's how they said it. I'm assuming that means how you build your army up, but I wonder if it's like, I wonder if they'll hint at, is it just simply like talking about, the 25% or like slots or whatever, or do you think we'll get a bit of a hint that they might have detachment formation type thing, like if you take this, then you have to take this. If you take that, I wonder if it's going to end up like that.
Definitely
one of those thematic lists.
That would be really cool.
I know. I hope.
I'd love that.
Yeah,
I'd love that. I'm so sick of the 25% LLR and that kind of thing. Like, building out a detachment style. I'd be on board with that.
I would too, because I reckon it makes core useful in the sense that you can build different detachments will have better usage of core.
Well, you get those themes, don't you? And just
so you don't have that stupid core tax that 8th had.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. The only problem is like you always got those style of attachments that are like always used, and then there's just like the other ones that nobody uses.
Yeah.
So hopefully they put a bit of thought into it, make it a bit varied and
just got to balance them properly, don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
But overall, I mean, what do you think? I mean, there wasn't. I mean, we learnt a lot more in this one. Like some of the answers were. Questions were answered, and then I guess we've still got some other questions about base sizes and blah blah blah. But I mean, look, Andrew was right. Like he's just. I mean, it's the same game. It just every article I see just goes, "Yep, it's not going to take long to just pick it up and run with it if you've played Warhammer before." So
yeah, for sure,
that's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Any more thoughts on those guys, or you got?
That's good.
Should we smash on
good
to
release.
the next topic?
Yeah. I don't want to have too many layers of special rules to have to remember. That's my only concern going into this,
Yeah, and I know, I don't know, I thought I'd heard a bit of criticism around Horus Heresy, that it was a bit like that, like a lot of, I think it was that anyway. Now I've got the books, I don't notice. I haven't counted them up, I don't know any of them. So I'm like, it all seems like, it all seems complicated. Not complicated, but it all seems like, especially when you take on a different game system and they've got similar wording, half the time it's just trying to remember what is similar to fantasy, whereas this probably won't have that problem as much because you probably know most of the rules anyway, and they are probably named pretty close to what you're used to, so hopefully it won't be too bad.
Yeah, for us, it won't be it won't be a difficult transition.
I heard somebody make a comment which was pretty valid, was it's a good point that they're probably taking rules out of other areas and just giving it a name. So like your movement phase has got a hell of a lot of rules as part of that. It's just part of the movement phase. You'd be like, oh, you can't do that because the movement phase says this here, or else you might be taking that out of that, section, putting in the special rules and just giving it a name. So it's like it's a bit easier in that regard. But yeah, I suppose you'd have to wait and see.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know, like, will it help remember rules too, like stomp and stuff? Maybe, because they did mention that. But I mean, how many times do you look at your special rules when you're playing the game? It's not like you're sitting there going, right, and it's got this, this, and this. I mean, to be honest, I do sometimes, like with the bloody scorpions, I'm like, oh, that's right, it's got killing blow and poison, and but again, once that's mixed in with every other generic like special rule, I'll probably will forget it. So
it is easy to forget no matter where it is.
Anyway, cool. Well, exciting. We get to know about army selection next week, and I wonder if they'll keep going through Chrissy. Or have there's 2 more weeks. Is there? No, one. No, would that be it before Christmas as a drop? Because what day
I think so.
Now? Yeah, it would be.
Because the following drop will be Boxing Day.
Yeah,
unless
so
they're
I think
they might
pre-done
have
for whatever
something
reason.
different. Like I don't imagine it'll be just a regular article. If they don't do it,
Yeah.
they either do nothing or they'll have some other big announcement on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Someone did say, and I didn't find the quote, so don't quote me on it, but someone said from a Warhammer official channel that you will hear more about it before the end of the year. So I don't know if that means just this next week's drop, or we'll actually get some more tangible release dates. Who knows?
Yeah, so because the Tuesday morning for us, that'd be Monday, wouldn't it, for the US?
Yeah.
Imagine if all this time they've been doing the Mondays so that it coincides with Christmas, and then they do have a massive announcement on Christmas Day.
Christmas Day, that'd be cool.
That would be. No wonder they refused to change the day for our podcast.
If they did that, they would have done the. If they did that, though, they would have. How they bring out that orc, goblin-y Santa person.
Yeah,
that thing.
Yeah.
That should have been a fantasy themed one, and then you would have known that. Yep, they're going to release it, but giving us all our Christmas presents early. Anyway, let's get on with the Slogo, Josh. How did it go, and where did it get up to? And
went pretty well. It was a really fun morning of gaming. It's just pretty short, like you go in 10-ish, and we're all done by probably like 12:30, I suppose. I mean, that doesn't sound like that short, but it is. Like, once you've done all the unpacking, you set up, and then you get everyone going games, and then you've done your game and you packed everything up. Doesn't take a huge amount of time. Although I guess this is a 600-point game, so it's gonna get definitely going to get longer as the times go by. And certainly, don't know what's going to happen. Like when we're getting to bigger games, like 1400 or 1600 or bigger, and the games each taking a few hours. It's going to get more awkward, I think, in terms of like if there's an odd number of players that come in, I'm just watching everyone like do it. Like last month, I could just get someone else to play a second game because it was only 400 points and it only took about 45 minutes. But I feel like there's going to be some months where it just I just won't get a chance to play. I don't think. Depending on the numbers. But yeah, this time, I headed in about 10-ish, found about 5 tables to set up. Sunday mornings they're usually not too busy. There was a few guys around, but I just managed to clear off some Skyfi terrain and brought in some of my new mats and set up. I'm thinking I might change up my setup for bringing terrain actually, because at the moment I've got like boxes that are organized by terrain type. So like I've got a big tub of my hills, and I've got some boxes where I've got the ruins in, another box where I've got the fences in. I'm thinking I might redesign that so that I've got like a tub that's got like 2 tables of terrain in.
That's what I've ended up.
Because that might just make a lot more sense. Because otherwise I've got so many little different
all the time.
all these different little tubs. So I've got to get everything, and then so I've got to do like 3 trips, to the car, and then through the front door, through the shop, up the stairs to the second floor where the gaming area is, then back down again, get the other stuff. So if I have it in a tub, maybe I could maybe pile it a bit more efficiently. Anyway, so I think we had 7 guys set up this week.
So what you had last
plus
time?
me, I had 10. 10 guys. So there's a few that could make. There's one new guy this week, Matthew, with his high elves. They're all painted up and look really nice. There was a few. There's one guy had a wedding. Another one had a Christmas party. There was. To be honest, I didn't mind. Like 7 is a reasonable number anyway. And to be honest, on the 10th of December, getting people free to war game is pretty hard anyway. So, so it was. I think it was a good number. It's actually becoming a nice little atmosphere. Like, I don't think anyone knew anyone before I started doing this, including me. I had no idea who anyone was. But it's actually becoming a nice atmosphere. I think people are starting to get to know each other a bit now, and I think the group size is good. People basically just paired up as they came in, and then I waited around for about 20 minutes, and then I was like to Brad, one of the Skaven guys, I was like, oh well, I guess we'll just start playing because I don't think anyone else is turning up, which is a much better system than trying to do draws and set people up. And too much of
everyone
headache.
just kept going. Yeah, I like that. They come in and play. Yeah,
they just came in and started playing, which is much better way of doing it. So my game, I guess I can mainly go through that. I played against Brad Skaven, and I think he had a Warp Lightning Cannon this time. I think he had two blocks of Clan Rats last month, and an engineer and a leader guy. I forget the name of the basic hero.
Chieftain?
Chieftain or something like that. And then he got a Warp Lightning Thrower and then a cannon as well. This one, so a bit of a step up in
Warp Flame Thrower, was it?
Yeah, he had the weapons team, the Warp Thrower thing on one of the Clan Rats, and then you had the Warp Lightning Cannon as well.
Oh, okay.
As a separate choice. So lots of Warp Lightning going everywhere.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And I had the unit of 5-man Demonettes, the 12 Devoted / Witch Elf girls, the Sorceress level 2, and the 10 Repeated Bowman. Basically started. I moved my Mounted Demonettes right out on the far flank, sort of to the side of his.
Sorry, you're still playing on
blocks.
4x4s or something?
No, I'm playing on 6x4 now.
Okay. Ooh.
Probably should have done 4x4 really, but
it's pretty big.
The way I should probably go through the scenario, to be honest, because the way I'd done it was like the deployment of the scenario meant it really felt like a 4x4 anyway, because we were 9 inches in from the sides and 15 inches from the edge of the board too, so you were pretty far in and you were slightly more narrow than a normal 12-inch pitch battle anyway, so it did feel more like a 4x4 anyway. So scenario was the central objective, type 1, where basically the objective gives you points for every second turn that you control it. So the turn 2 you get 1 point, turn 4 you get 2 points, turn 6 you get 3 points, and you get 2 additional points if you win the victory point element of the game as well. So it was the central objective was like crucial to winning, basically. Then I had an extra rule that if you control objective, you get extra dispel dice, but I completely forgot about it this entire game. I'm not sure if anyone else remembered either, to be honest.
That was that buff you were doing.
Just to help with dispelling a little bit, which it wasn't too bad because we both had a spellcaster, because he had the engineer with all the little Warp Lightning buffs on it, and I had the level 2. So we, that dispelled it. It was really more for armies that didn't have any magic and they were playing against something that was a bit magic-y. Mainly the Skaven engineers. Because the game was basically I deployed in sort of a line. I had the Demonettes on the left flank. I had the crossbowmen sitting just on my pond, with the pond sort of pointing in towards the center of the board. Then I had the Devoted and the Sorceress sort of central right, I guess. And he deployed his 2 blocks and the cannons sort of right next to each other, quite centrally. So I pushed the Mounted Demonettes right up, like 20 inches, right up onto his flank, looking at the side of his blocks, and pushed the Devoted up a little bit more centrally, and the crossbowmen. I think I did have to move the crossbowmen into the lake to get in range, because I put this lake there, and I was like, oh, this lake's good. It'll impede anyone trying to get to them, and then because of the 24-inch range. And the lake wasn't right on the edge of the deployment zone, so me putting it on the edge of the lake meant that I should have deployed it in the lake, actually, because I deployed it on the edge of the lake, which is still like 6 inches back from the edge of the deployment zone, which actually put them slightly out of range. So maybe I should have, I didn't deploy them very well, really. But I moved them forward, and they got just in range, so they could do their shots. Didn't do any wound, so. But his turn, he actually Warp Lightninged off my Demonettes. Like straight away. Like, I was like, oh my god!
All that painting time.
I know, because he did the 9 + 2d6, and he got that off, and I didn't spell it, and then he also had the bounce spell for the 5 + 1 as well on the engineer. So between those two, and the Demonettes just don't have any saving against magic.
Yeah.
But the thing that I realized after the game, I was like, oh wait, a warp lightning, that's a magic missile, isn't it? And I was like, because those Demonettes they were on the flank, like they weren't in line of sight at all, which is why I moved them up there. Like,
It's
just
direct damage.
it was just
whatever. Not that they exist.
no, it's not. It's not. So intuitively, I moved them up there because I knew they were safe.
Yeah.
And when they popped, I was like, oh well, I don't know. I guess these things happen. But now I think that was like, oh, actually, they were safe, unless he moved his whole, because otherwise he would have had to have
like
rotated his entire his entire block for him to have done that, which then would have impeded other aspects of the game. But oh well, that's the way things go. And then I think his warp lightning cannon fired. I think it took off. He rolled a 2 for its strength, and it hit the devoted, and he managed to get 2 5s and 2 devoted die. I was like, damn it. Because I think you roll on a 2 dice, and I think the strength is whatever the number of the artillery dice is, and then the range is like 8d6. So it's just in a straight line, straight out from the cannon. That's how it works. So he rolled the 2 on the artillery dice for the strength. And I was like, oh, good. Maybe I'm not going to lose any demonettes. Devoted. And then he happens to get 2 5s. Anyway, in my turn, then my sorceress actually started doing some stuff. So because I'd rolled for her spells, I got the whip again, and I got 2 lane delusions again. So the same 2 spells I got last month, and those are probably my two. I don't mind those spells. Those are good spells.
Yeah.
I used the 2 lane delusions immediately to force his other clan ramp block with the chieftain to head 45 degrees across into the devoted's charge range, which is like just set up for a nice flank charge. And I think she tried to whip, but I didn't get the whip off. I've only got I haven't got enough to spell power dice to get both spells off really. The following turn, so then his turn, he moved his guys up. I think the way the spell had worked, that clan rat block actually then moved in the way of his cannon between the cannon and my devoted. What happened then? I think he actually aimed it then at the sorcerer as well. He aimed it at that sort of in that line. We're trying to work out if she was able to be aimed at or not.
Targeted,
It just seems like you just target a single model and you just aim at that model. So we figured out she could, but he was hitting one of his own guys in that angle. He rolled a 2 again on the strength, and he failed to wound the sorceress. But he killed his own clan rat.
Killed his own guy.
So it's two strength 2 shots so far.
Strength 2s are getting it done.
Yeah, great. Then I charged the devoted into the flank of the clan rats with the chieftain. I think he issues a challenge into my champion. The champion doesn't do any wounds to his chieftain. I think the chieftain just kills the champion with 2 overkill. But then the rest of the devoted, I think, killed 5 or 6 clan rats, and then they lost by about 3 combat res, and then they fled. We both rolled a 7.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh, that's sweet.
Which you would have missed on the old world.
What do you mean?
Well, don't you have to roll over to catch in the old world?
I don't know, Colin. That's far off in the future. Unfortunately, this story is not well because Skaven in 6th edition get +1 to their flee rolls.
Okay, sorry.
They run.
I didn't realize that.
They run further.
I know. I'd also forgotten that roll. I'm like, damn it. Yeah. So he just outrun me. And then things were looking quite good for me because they ran and they ran in a direction that was diagonally across his lines and put both his warp lightning cannon and the other block within a panic check range. And both of those units then fail their panic check. So they both
Skaven.
Hilarious, right? So they both start heading off towards the board. But that same turn, that main block of rats actually, the ones that fled the combat, rally. I had no choice but then to do a frontal charge in my turn because my guys were right behind him. And unfortunately, because he still had like 2 ranks, and he had 3 ranks actually, but I was down to, I'd lost a couple of guys. So I had lost on my race actually because I lost 3 guys. So I was down to 3 in the back. He actually, so I charged him in, but I think I didn't really do many wounds. And then his chieftain, I think, killed a few of them again, and I lost about 3 or 4 devoted. So a bit of a fluff, really. And then his starting combat res meant I lost by a couple, and then I think I rolled a 9 on the break test, and I just So then I fled, and I think I rolled like another 12 or something. He rolled a 5, so I just ran away. And then unfortunately his cannon rallied, and the other rats rallied when they started coming back towards me. And then the other thing I'd done was when I charged with the devoted, I'd actually been moving the sorceress up behind them, so the sorceress is just floating by herself next to the
she's
devoted.
Within the 5. She's within.
She was within the 5 until they fled.
Yeah.
Luckily, they're all immune psychology, so I don't have to worry about panic checks for these when everything's fleeing. So she's actually sitting in not a bad spot because she's out of line of sight of the other block, the ones that is chasing the devoted. The second block is on the other side of his battle line, so they're not threatening her. But she's in 12 inches of the cannon for some whipping. So I've actually just like I managed to get 2 whips off in this game on the cannon. In consecutive turns, so maybe it was a few whips. So the first whip I rolled a 5 d6 strength 6 hits on this cannon, and then I actually forgot this thing's got like a 4-up ward save.
Wow.
Like, oh my god!
Cannon.
So yeah, the Wolf Lightning Cannon.
What?
Doesn't it? That's like a chariot thing with like I'm pretty sure it's a 4-up ward.
Wow.
Yeah. You had it in the book. Like, I'm pretty sure. It does ring a bell. I'm actually pretty sure it does. Or it did have it in 8th edition anyway. So he saves 3 out of the 5 wards. So it's got 1 wound left because I think it's got 3 wounds. And
that's off your first whip?
That was off my first whip.
Oh, that's good.
Then I think then he actually returns fire with a cannon. Again, he rolls a 2 on the strength. And he takes 1 wound off the sorcerer.
Dice,
this is the artillery dice. He's rolled 3.
Keeps going.
3 strength 2 shots in a row.
It's just killing stuff left, right, center. That's good.
It was hilarious. So then my following turn, I think I got another whip off and actually did manage to whip it off. This is like the second to last turn of the game now. In the intervening period, the other blockers move forward towards the objective, and that warp lightning thrower on the weapon symbol on that block has actually managed to outshoot the crossbows. So I think the crossbows end up being obliterated, basically. And I think they took off maybe 2 or 3 rats, but they just didn't shoot well this game at all. And then in the final turn, this is so frustrating. So his first blockers continued to try to chase some other devoted. I think he actually did catch them. Actually, I think they rallied, and then he charged them again, and then he ran them down because there's only like 5 left. And so while
did you? So you fled?
You
opted to flee?
They rallied, and then they took the charge, but there's only like 4 left. When they got
post combat,
so they lost by a lot, and then they just fled again, and then that time they got him down. So that block was right off to the side now, having chased those, and then the one with the weapons team had come into the center, was taking the objective. Now the sorceress, having just taken out the cannon, so it was basically her. She was my only, because the devoted ran down, the crossbowmen have been killed, and the mounted demonettes were taken out in the first turn. So she was my only character, my only thing left on the board.
Only unit sort of thing,
So I just moved her in near the objective, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna throw another whip. So I whipped the clan rat block, killed 5, I think 4 or 5. Again, I was rolling pretty well with the d6s on these whips because it's only 1 d6. So as much as the strength 6, if you roll a 1, it's pretty deflating. But I think I rolled another 5, and I killed 4 or 5 clan rats. And I have to cause a panic check, and they failed the panic check, and they ran off the objective in the final turn.
Nice.
So we worked out it was actually really close in the end, because as much as I only had the sorceress left, she was 150 points, and so 25% of my whole army.
Yeah.
And because one block of his rats was fleeing, the cannon was gone. He's had, I think I'd taken a wound off the chieftain, so he was down to half strength. We ended up working out that in terms of victory points, I think he was up by like 2.5 points. So it was essentially a draw on victory points.
Nice.
And then the way the game worked out was with the objective. I'd controlled it for the first score, so for 1 point. Then he'd had it for turn 4, so he was on 2 points of the objective. I was on 1 point.
Yeah.
And the 6th turn, my sorceress was in 4 inches of it, so she would have controlled it. But in the pack, I'd put a rule that the unit needs to be a minimum of unit strength 5 to be able to claim it. So I'd actually, I was so annoyed at myself. I was like, why do we that stupid
Especially
rule in there?
600 points, 600 point limit. You probably don't need that.
No, you probably don't. You don't. That's a good point, Colin. I should, it really makes
So nobody got it.
So no one got it. But so that meant that because the victory points was a draw and he was up 2-1, he won basically by 1 point.
Yeah. Cool.
But
it sounds like a fun game, but that sounds like a really fun game.
It was a really fun swinging game. Yeah, it was really enjoyed it actually. It's so fun. Like these are just such small point values, but you get so much of you still get a lot of tactics and a lot of a good story that you get out of them. Nice. It was super close game.
Old World keeps that up with if the unit sizes aren't crazy like 8th, but who knows? Because that's why I feel like. Well, yours is obviously small because it's slow go, but even in 6, just having those smaller units, I don't know, they feel like they can do things. Where in 8th, it's like the big armies, big units can do stuff, and there's no use taking too much small stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that'd be the attraction of playing relatively small games, even in the old world. For me, like if they're undercosting everything, then I'll just be like, well, I'm just going to have smaller. Smaller games. And that way you'll have smaller units. But so that was a good game against Brad.
And does everyone maintain the painting and everything? So like at least the people have turned
everything.
Up,
Everyone that came in this month was all painted. Some of the bases weren't, but that doesn't matter because some of the people are just waiting for the old world. So like I'm not including basing
that's a really good point.
In this whole thing. They're all painted and Nigel do a really
Especially
good,
the
really good
one. Did he do his bases or he's going? No, I'm waiting.
No, he'd done his bases actually. Wait, hold on. So the Skaven are doing really. I think he'd mainly done Goblin Green bases, so pretty old school.
Cool.
Awesome. So in terms of how the games are going, so the Skaven have done well. So he won. There's 2 Skaven that were in this. The other Skaven army also won against a Night Goblin army. By the way, this Night Goblin army, I don't know if you guys saw any of the photos, but he's got this ridiculous looking giant Night Goblin.
Oh no, I haven't seen it, but I did see your pictures, but I didn't look at them.
It's sort of hidden in there. I actually should have made it more.
Where were they actually? Because I went to Facebook.
It's in Melbourne Hammer.
It's not on the actual event. Okay, that's okay.
Oh, maybe I should put it on the event.
Yeah, that's cool. No, I just remember seeing it, but then I couldn't find it. I went to your event. I'm like, where did I see it?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, I'm trying to work out. Like, Facebook confuses me sometimes. Like, could I post it in my event and then link that into Melbourne Hammer, or
I can't remember which. Remember, we looked at this one way. You can't because they couldn't view it. But if it's you'd be able to.
Maybe I could make it a post and then post that post. Or put a link to that post in the Melbourne event.
Oh, either.
That'd be much better, actually.
Which one's public-ish?
The event's public.
Oh, okay. Well, then, maybe you should put it
I should do that. Makes sense. I'll do that, actually. I actually might do that. Or just repost it and put it
I'll find that because I was going to whack them up on the group. That's all.
I should do that. Because that'd be so much better. Because that way, when I put it in Melbourne Hammer, it just disappears into the, each
all the other ones too.
So I mean, so if I have them in the event, then each previous month will
you can look
be there and you can look back and see everything. So that makes sense. There's Chris has got this ridiculous goblin where he's actually sculpted like a cloak on it. You got this like
royal goblin.
Yeah, it's a giant. He's using it as a giant.
Oh, using a giant, not as a unit field or anything. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
But it's like a goblin with like thongs.
Did he 3D print that guy, or is it?
I think he found it. He bought the goblin, which is like it's a goblin in a singlet and thongs and shorts, and he's actually just sculpted the entire cloak and hood and everything just out of green stuff. It gave me little chain belts and that type of thing. Like, so it's all done by hand. I know.
He's in front of those squigs. He's behind the squig.
Yeah.
Those squigs. Yeah. Oh, are they the AOS squigs? Are they? They look bigger.
Oh, yeah, I think they might be.
So it's probably not great for oh, hang on. There is a good shot. Yeah, that's not good for a podcast, but I'll definitely link this up.
I feel left out here. I'm trying to find these.
He's massive. At least he's massive compared to the squigs and stuff in front of him. Those must be the new squig. Man, they look good. I'm going to have to unbox my squigs that I've got. Hey, you know, actually, I'm totally off topic. I just remembered. You know, when we were talking about like what armies we should do, or someone asked the question about what army you can do in the old world.
Yeah.
And I was setting chaos. You know, I might do, I don't know, I could potentially do the orcs and goblins again and start a whole new, like an action, because, you know, it's my third arm. Like, you've got better at painting and there's heaps of AOS stuff available. Like,
you should try to do that. Yeah.
You know, like, you could probably do up something that looks pretty good.
Yeah.
So,
because I ended up doing that with the Bretonians, you know, I almost redid it. Like, I painted them once back when I first got into 8th. Like, got into it. And then, you know, like I had a unit of errands, but like for CanCon this year, I actually just repainted the older style because I wanted to do that. And so it's it's, you know, it feels so much nice actually going back to an old army and repainting stuff and you go, oh, this actually looks so much better.
Yeah. No, that's like, again, it probably depends when they come out, you know, like I mean, we won't know, but maybe we'll know. They might, Games Workshop's pretty good at doing those roadmaps now a bit, you know, where you sort of know is it coming winter, summer, that type of thing. So because if orcs, I'm assuming orcs would be close to, I don't know. It's weird. They've opened with Tomb Kings and Britannia, so who knows? Anyway, sorry.
Anyway, I'll finish. So one last thing. The Skaven beat that Night Goblin. So the two Skaven armies, the two armies that haven't lost a game yet. They're both unbeaten. So I'm going to insist that they play each other next month. They've got to play each other. I feel like at this low point values, I feel like Skaven do get some advantages. I think just with the big unit sizes, but also the potency of Warp Lightning and a few things.
They can either go bad, but you only need one to go good at your level. Like one, they roll a D6 somewhere and hit 6 hits.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it can go bad. Yeah, I shouldn't. Yeah, I'm not saying that there's no risk reward.
But I mean, if he wasn't rolling 2s 3 times in a row, you'd probably would have got annihilated then, would you?
Not really. Well, there was only one time, like the first time when he rolled 2s, he's still wounded with both the wounds he could cause.
Yeah.
The second one, yes, he failed the wound on that one. And then the third one, he's still wounded, caused the one wound he could cause, even though he only rolled 2s.
Oh, it didn't matter.
He still caused 3 out of the 4 wounds that he could have, I guess. Anyway, he didn't roll a misfire though, unfortunately, which I was hoping to see. But I think when you were going to say about releasing release dates and books and that type of thing, you know, do you think they're actually going to have any actual army books, or do you think it's purely going to be they're going to have a central book, you know, they release where there's a good book like a evil army and a good army and that type of thing, where they've got all the army
well,
lists?
I mean, I'm assuming it's like Horus Heresy, in the sense that you end up with, I don't know if it'll be, you know, a good and a bad book, because they sort of put that up there originally and then they took it down, you know, in terms of the faction list. But I would imagine it's either a book that has multiple armies in it. Now, is that just
that's
2?
What I'm saying.
I can't imagine. Why would you? I don't know.
I reckon that's what they'll do. But I'm picturing what they'll do is they'll have a Ravening Horde style release, and then rather than re-releasing each army one by one like the way they used to do, they might take more of a Lord of the Ringsy sort of approach where they release units. Like they'll release a campaign book.
Yeah.
And in that campaign book, there might be rules for a new unit of, you know, knights or like, you know, or a wood elf
so you'd still end up using the
unit in there.
index sort of Ravening Horde thing and add those index.
Yeah, like in that way they would be able to release stuff for new units for
I do like
different
that
armies
with the
and not
campaigny
just have to wait for your army to have this massive release, you know, and that way everyone's got a reason to buy each book almost.
No, I like that. I just wonder, see, obviously with Horus Heresy it makes a lot more sense because you got traders and then you got the loyalists and then obviously you got those other ones. But with Old World, it's almost, I don't know, it feels like it almost has to be campaign bookish in a way if you're going to release multiple armies in one book. But don't know.
Because I mean, the thing with Horus Heresy is they didn't release any rules for any of those other factions when they re-released it. It was just the Legions Imperialis, wasn't it? Like all the Space Marine rules, and that was it. They didn't have rules for the other smaller factions in Horus Heresy.
Yeah, it's only
initially.
I don't know about the first version, but the second version, only the Mechanicum thing only just came out, didn't it? They haven't even got.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
you know? Like they didn't.
But they do have
even...
the 2 trader book and the loyalist book, and then you got the main rule book. So you got 3 big rule books.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So they had those rule books, but they didn't have rules for the minor factions in those books. They just had the traitor and loyalist, and that was it.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So I'm just wondering though, like in a simple fashion, would you get the big rule book and then you might get the good factions and the bad ones? But because I would think that, but then they took down that good and bad off that faction list. So that's where, I'm not sure. I almost feel like
slot into that, but don't they?
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a
So that's going to be interesting to see what they do. No, I don't think we're going to army books. Like I think that's definitely a no. We won't. It'll be a campaign book with 2 armies in it, or it'll be like bigger book that has 4 armies in it or something. Yeah, I think.
Yeah. Or what if it's like, you know how what's it called in Age of Sigmar where you've got the different types like archetypes in a different lists?
Oh, like destruction and all that stuff.
No, like like in a like Sylvaneth or something. Depending on which units you take, you can have different special rules.
I don't know
for that whole army.
That's that detachments thing.
Yeah, detachment thing.
But is it detachments in AOS as well? It's detachments in. Oh,
that's So what if like
they got an army book, so.
Maybe that's the other thing that you could put in a campaign would be a new detachment army style with different rules for that detachment or something like that. You know,
the only thing
the main rule book in Age of Sigmar's got like generic detachment rules, and then each army book has got its own unique detachment for that army.
The only reason I think they wouldn't, I don't know if this makes sense. Maybe I think they're going to have to release proper army rules and books. Now, I'm not an army book as in per race, but like I feel like it's a new game, index hammer in the sense that bring out a Ravening Hordes. I feel like they'll need a chance to, like, just freshen it up and make sure they haven't screwed anything up with those initial ones, maybe.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Possibly,
yeah, I know what you mean.
So, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think a Ravening Horde style would be good, maybe for the first edition / season or whatever.
And there's no reason why they can't release like a big book for the good factions, big book for the bad ones, and still do those small campaign books. Because I mean,
true.
Campaign books for them, like you said, Josh, totally. Like it costs them jack all to make a book, and then they release a new unit and they sell it. So it sells like hotcakes. So, and I wonder,
I'd love that. I'd love that.
Totally. Would they then consider like campaign books that do add units to or rules to the non-core factions that don't even, you know what I mean? Like
I think
if the game was good enough before they totally redid a faction that's not in there, they could go, oh well, we'll give Skaven a new blah blah blah.
I think they will definitely look at doing that. I feel like the only reason they've got this weird dichotomy between non-core and core is because they were forced to reduce the scope of the release to start with. As we were talking about the other week, it was all about how many options, how many boxes are going to be available, what can you buy, and that type of thing. And they've obviously been forced to go, okay, we can maybe service these factions, and the non-core ones we can't. But I feel like that may well change as well. Like they may, if the scope if this is successful and they can broaden the scope, then I'm sure that a lot of non-core factions will become
if they know they can make money and sell things, they're going to do that. So anyway,
maybe not for the first year or so. Maybe
this is going to it's going to be. We've waited. How long have we waited for Old World? Is it
our whole lives?
Well, if it comes out next, if it comes out on Jan, it's like 5 years, or is it 5 or 4 since the announcement? I can't remember. It's 2019 or 18. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it was 19. I think it was late 19. Like a few months.
Wasn't it 4 years
wasn't
now?
It like 6 months before COVID or something when they announced it?
Yeah,
and
it must
then
have been.
COVID
Yes.
put it. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess what I'm saying is like we've waited that long for Old World. If it takes 4 years to dribble all this out once it's released, I think we're going to all be still pretty happy.
Yeah.
Before a second edition or a bigger thing happens, I just hope they bring out other factions. Like, I want the other factions to come in, but man, if they spend 3 years pulling the core factions out and then they release like Cathay or something like that, imagine how much that would sell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd suck for the non-core faction.
Yeah, I know. but it would, yeah. Well, anyway, we've
just hit 2 hours.
We're getting close to knowing what's going to happen, though. This is
I know, right? Christmas is coming.
Yeah,
I really feel like on Christmas Day there's going to be a massive announcement.
I don't know for you guys, like Christmas hits and then suddenly like it's a bit crazy time, and I mean we're going away for a week or whatever, but you sort of suddenly it's the middle of January and you're like, oh crap, and then suddenly January's over. Do you know what I mean? Like it happens quite fast.
It does.
So by the end of January, we're going to know a lot. We're either going to have pre-orders or we know, and we're down there, and so.
I think the pre-orders will be before CanCon.
I hope they're not at CanCon because it's going to be busy. I'd hate to be...
What, during CanCon?
Yeah, on the Saturday afternoon.
I don't think so. Like, the book release is already before CanCon.
Yeah.
So if you're pre-ordering before the book release, surely the book release is like a week or two.
First or second week in Jan. I wouldn't have thought they'd do something so early, but
I don't know.
Yeah, it might be.
It's only a pre-order, but it's not.
True.
Not paying.
They said early in the new year, which for me is pretty early in the new year.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's exciting times.
Oh, it's gonna be awesome. 2024 is gonna be awesome.
Yeah. We're gonna have to do some more games than once every 5 weeks, but
true. Well, I need to get my butt and go to bloody Legion Club too once a month, but we'll see. I was doing that during 8th and I just haven't lately, so
you was that Chris or somebody was talking about a slow growth?
Darren.
Going straight into it.
Daryl? Yeah.
Daryl, was it? Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, Daryl was. Yeah.
Oh, well, there'll be so many slow grows. And I want to do a YouTube Tale of Four Gamers as well, which I might just do whatever I'm doing for a slow grow, but I think it'd be cool to have a few video.
Yeah.
Like not a once a week thing, obviously, like what you do, Josh, with the slow grow, like catch up every 4 weeks or 6 weeks with a group of people and do that. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's close this one out then. Is there anything you guys want to touch on, or is that it?
Pretty good.
Awesome.
Pretty good now, all done.
Cool. Well, everyone, thanks for listening to another Old World Fanatics. And once again, please leave us 5-star reviews on your podcast software of choice, and it just helps us get the word out. I think it's, like I said, we hit another milestone. I think we hit a download milestone. I can't remember what it was, but it was 4,000 something, which was
Josh
good.
was saying, four grand.
Plus our 100th birthday for days. Yeah. So we'll keep on kicking as long as people are listening. So really appreciate it. Interact on our socials at Old World Fanatics. You can pretty much find us. But until next time, guys, thanks for listening and thanks for coming on the podcast, you guys. And I guess I'll see you next week when we chat armies.
Ooh.
Which would be pretty cool.
Army
Hopefully
selection.
we get a bit more hobby done too. We'll see how we go.
Yeah, I'll take the week off.
Cool. Thanks, guys. I will chat to you later.
All right.
See you later,
Cheers.
guys.
See you guys. Bye.
Ciao.